All right.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah, Martha's here. Should be in a minute. And Martha Dean is a constitutional attorney, practicing in the state for something like 20 years. And she actually had the nomination and ran in '02 against Blumenthal and brought a lot of new voters out. And the party looked at that and said that's pretty impressive because she did better than prior candidates up against Blumenthal. And she's in it big time this time. She's a great constitutional attorney. She believes in the Constitution, states' rights. She will push back on that federal power. She's terrific. So that's why she got total grassroots support around the state. That's for sure. So.
She's our standard bearer.
Yeah. Yep.
Thanks for all that you guys are doing. It's amazing. I'm sorry to be a little bit late. As one of the editorial board, the editors for the Village Bulletin said today, Martha, you look a little tired compared to the last time that we saw you. And I want to reassure you that yes, it is normal in a campaign to get tired when you're working really, really hard. If I don't look a little tired, then you should worry about whether I'm working hard enough. But I can tell you that I looked tired when I won the silver medal in the Eastern Sprints, but I was fine the next day. And I looked tired when I went to major trial, and I'm fine the next day. Or when I hiked Mount Washington in the pouring rain, I looked fine the next day. So I will survive this. Don't worry about me if I look tired. And I truly do have a lot of balls in the air, which is very good training for what lies ahead. We have got to rein in the federal government. We've got to rein in the state government. We have got to rein in the spending at the AG's office. We've got to rein in the spending throughout the state. And we have to do all of these things while we train the people at the AG's office in a new culture, a new way of doing business, a new way of looking at the world that they've never heard from anyone before until they get this new Attorney General who says, well, we need to learn to do things a different way. So there's a lot to be done. There's nothing easy ahead between now and November 2nd. And I'm on trial for 3 weeks immediately after the election in a major case for Blue Trail. And then we go right into sending my clients off to other firms, and then starting at the AG's office. And there's nothing easy that lies ahead at the AG's office. And what we do isn't going to make people happy in the short term, but it will make everyone really, really proud in the long term. So I just want you to know that expect me to look tired, be proud of me when I look tired and ragged, and people fix me on the campaign trail, and I take it all in stride. So if you ever see there's something that needs to be fixed on me, that's fine. I won't be upset. But this is truly a remarkable year, and just to see all of you here and what you're doing with the Tea Party groups in Fairfield County, and this one, which is not very old, is truly a phenomenal thing that none of us have seen in our lifetime. And there are people much older than I am, as old as I am here, and none of us have seen it. I never thought I would see the day when people who are not in government, who are not lawyers, would know more about the Constitution than our and law students. Truly, it's amazing. There's a debate at the law school this Thursday, and I'm sure there will be questions on the Constitution, and I will welcome that. I can't remember a debate among lawyers about the Constitution. So this is a remarkable year. And as Chris Matthews, for those of you who know Chris Matthews said on NBC, very liberal, and you got that little tingle up his leg, when Obama, when he thought of Obama and when Obama was winning. Well, Chris Matthews, and I only saw a little bit of what he said in the last week, is now saying that this is not, this Tea Party thing that he's trying to understand is not a one-year thing. It's not a two-year thing. It's not a four-year thing. It's going to be a generation, he said. It is going to at least remake America for a generation. I think longer, much longer. This is huge. And when your kids and grandkids ask you, where were you in 2010 when it all started, you can say you were here in this little room when you had a lot of other things to do. You weren't sitting home. Who knows? Who knows? I will be very, very firm to Election Day and after Election Day. I couldn't care less about getting reelected. And when people ask me why I want to be Attorney General, I don't. I really don't. I care about my state. I care about my country. What self-government's all about. And we're going to do it right. We're going to pull a Chris Christie. They'll never have seen this before in Connecticut. The editors at the Norwich Bulletin, frankly, didn't believe me. They think, oh, that nice little girl, she thinks that there's another way to do things. But it'll always be the same old in Connecticut. And I said, I know everyone's cynical, but I've lived other places, and there are other ways to do this. And you don't have to have a state that's run in this corrupticate sort of way. And I understand we're used to doing things that way here, but Connecticut truly is a super yacht. I mean, we have the highly educated people, we have the right location for commerce, we have the right location for tourism, we have just this fantastic, all of these assets given to us, and we're like a super yacht with a terrible captain and just running us right into the rocks. And I just can't stand by, like you can't stand by and see that happen to our country or to Connecticut. So we're going to get this thing turned around. Constitutional lawyers in Connecticut, so it's all new research. But we believe there's a role for the Attorney General to provide an opinion as to whether it's constitutional. But again, that doesn't stop them from doing what they're doing. But then to actually go out to the public and educate the public and participate in debates and raise the issues and explain why this is unconstitutional and how it hurts the state, the citizens of the state, why we have a budget cap, why we have a constitution, and give people the information that they need to make the legal challenge that will need to be brought to rein in the government. It doesn't matter who you elect. It really doesn't. They will never restrain themselves. You might get one or two, you might get 5 or 6, but you will never get a sufficient number who are willing to restrain themselves and rein in government that you can really, do what Mark Greenberg calls starve the beast and others have called. So at some point you have to have judges who are willing to take these cases on and people who are willing to bring the cases that define the limits of government. And if the limits aren't where you thought they were and the judges say something else, then you start amending the Constitution or you start doing other fixes. But you need to define the limits of government and force government to live within those limits. That's the federal government and the state government. I'm prepared to do that. This is going to be hard work ahead. My family and I discussed it. We prayed about it. We talked about what it meant in terms of a lifestyle. It's about to have that sense of purpose and meaning and urgency in what you communicate and how you say it, and that authenticity, that belief, because when you mean it, people know the difference. And they asked me today, so how do you account for this win? And of course it's the big guy up there, but in the primary win, and maybe you don't know it, I didn't realize it, people brought me the numbers, but it was more votes, thanks to all of you, than any Republican in any race, federal or state, won in Connecticut. By not 2 votes. Not 5 votes. Not 500 votes. Not 1,000 votes more. 10,000 votes more than the highest vote getter in Connecticut. And I won my own race 60.8% to 39.2 with a really well-regarded, from a legal perspective, an insider, supported candidate who had a lot of political connections in both parties and no parties. So that was a stunning win, thanks to all of you. But there's something that people say that they hear when I speak that sounds different from a candidate who's been told what the script is. And I said to the Norwich Bulletin, well, because I don't have a script. People would like to give me a script, but I don't really have handlers yet. And everything that I've said or written has come from me, and rarely is it edited. If you look at the Law Tribune today, there's quite a bit of writing there, and I had about 2 minutes to get it in, and nobody looked at it, and I hope that I got the typos out. But in a way, that's been the strength of my campaign, that before we actually got people in, like Pauline Keyser, who's doing strategy now, and kitchen cabinet in place, I had to put out my positions on a large number of issues with no handlers, no polls, just me saying what I believe is right. And if it wasn't what was going to win this race, it didn't matter, because I was going to say what was right because it needed to be said and do what was right if I was put in that position. And our founder said that the only people capable of sustaining a free society are moral and virtuous people. Not a perfect people, because Bob's not perfect, you're not perfect, I'm not perfect. Perfect people don't exist. Flawed, but moral and virtuous, which means that's your goal, that's what you're striving toward. You make your mistakes, but that's what you're striving toward. And they said that the best hope of sustaining a free society was to elect moral and virtuous leaders. They exist, we've had them before, we have plenty of them now, we don't have enough. And we have to tip the balance so that those people are the voice again